Hi, Blake here from Florida Orienteering. This is going to be my second video in a series on the LiveLox tool for GPS logging at orienteering events. In the first video I showed you how to use the replay feature in LiveLox to do a playback of a bird's eye view of the event as a virtual mass start. Great way to kind of relive the experience, share it with your friends and family. In this video I'm going to do more of a deeper dive on using the tool specifically for your own training. We're going to drill down on a particular track and show how to use the LiveLox tool for studying that track and figuring out what you did right and wrong so that you can train up and become a better orienteer and do better the next time you go out. So for this I'm going to go back to the Florida Orienteering website, www.floridaorienteering.org, and as before I'm going to pick this third link down in the nav bar, which is our OR/SI results, all our electronic results. For this one I'm going to look at one of my own tracks from the Kelly Park event and embarrass myself by showing some of my mistakes that I made there. In order to do this I'm going to just jump right into the LiveLox link for that, and this shows all our courses. I ran the blue course that day, so I'm going to drill down to blue, click on the replay. This will load up the blue map, and as you can see only 2 people recorded tracks on that course that day, myself and Hen, whom I frequently compete against on blue. I'm not going to actually do a comparison between my track and his in this video, so for right now I'm just going to uncheck him on the list so it just shows my track. And for starters, and in a minute I'm going to drill down to each individual leg and look at it, but first thing you generally want to do is zoom out and look at your entire track and see kind of the lay of the land, how your overall run went and where the potential problem areas are. So to do that I'm going to, of course I have all the same playback controls here showing trails and everything. I can tails from where I was, I can look back at that, but I want to zoom out and look at the overall track. So to do that I'm going to click on the settings here. I'm going to drag the tail length out to show my entire track from start to finish. I'm going to choose color coded, so it speed codes the color, green meaning fast, red meaning slow at any particular point. And then I'm going to start zooming out so that I can see the entire course. This was a blue course, so it's a long one. I'm going to have to zoom way out in order to see the entire track. I might get one more in. That's about as small as I can make it, or about as big as I can make it at this scale. You can see the course running all the way down here and all the way back again. Now in order to see my entire track, the easiest thing to do is to come up to the progress bar here and just click and drag out to the very end of it, and then it'll fast forward, as it were, through the replay movie all the way to the end, and you can see my track has appeared there. At this scale it's a little small, so I'm going to increase the size of it, pull the opacity down just a little bit so I can see stuff under the track, maybe change the border width here so it makes the track stand out a little bit. So now you can see it a little bit more in a little bit more detail, and you can see the green areas here where I'm running fast and some of the red areas where I'm moving slow. So now what you want to do is get an idea of the overall lay of the land for the entire run. So here I'm looking for specifically a couple of things. I'm looking for any area where my track deviated a lot from where I was supposed to be going, or maybe there was some back and forth or some circling around where I was searching for something. Anything like that where there's a big time loss that you can see in the position and course of the track is a potential problem area. And then the second sort of thing you're looking for is the red areas, the areas where you're moving slowly. Now moving slowly isn't necessarily a problem. It could just mean that the vegetation was thicker there or the ground was uneven and that's as fast as you could move safely. But it can also mean uncertainty. When you are unsure of where you are and unsure of where you want to go, you tend to slow down. So those red areas are often good places to check. Did I know where I was going there? Did I know where I was actually located? And if not, how could I have known better what I was supposed to be doing there? So I'm looking in particular at this area here, these areas, these red areas here, and these little red areas here as potential problem sites. And then I mentioned course deviations. You can see a little course deviation here where I did a little out and back, and another one here where I was coming along and did this long deviation to go around. So those are all potential problem areas for me to examine in more detail. Now to zoom in on particular legs and kind of take each one apart, there's a terrific facility in LiveLox to do exactly that, and you get to it through this button here, which I didn't show in the first video. If you click on that, you have several choices here. It defaults to the virtual mass start, which is what we used for the playback in the first video. But for now, I want to look at each control individually, and that's where these two options come in. In particular, I'm going to use this pause and restart at each control option. You'll notice when I do that, up here at the top, it changes the display a little bit. It creates a list of all of the marks on that course. The triangle here is the start, then the controls 1 through 12, and the double circle is the finish. So each one of these legs, like the first leg from start to 1, that's a leg. From 1 to 2 is a leg. From 2 to 3 is a leg. And you can see each time I pick one of these legs, it actually changes the display. It reorients the map, zooms in on that leg, and then orients the map so that up is forward. Like in this particular leg, I'm running from 2 to 3. So 2's here at the bottom of the screen. That's my start for this leg of the race. And then 3 is finish. And this is exactly what you do with the paper map when you're out in the woods. You orient it according to where you want to go and use the compass to kind of figure out how to turn the map in order to make that happen. So the forward is up. So this is a great way to look at the map, and it does it all for you in LiveLox. So from here, from looking at this particular leg, the playback simply plays back that particular leg with all the same controls and such that we saw in the first video. I can play and pause, I can change the speed and so on, and it shows me my direction, position, and speed as I go. And then if I click play one time, it shifts to the next control in line and shows me the same thing. And of course on a long one like this, maybe I don't want to wait for it to play out, so I can click up here to fast forward, as it were, and have it show me the entire track. So this is what you do. You go through the entire course, leg by leg, treat every leg like it's its own race, and look at each one individually, see what you did right, what you did wrong, look at those problem areas, and figure out how you could avoid that in the future, what different tactics you might take or what skills you need to develop in order to work around some of these things. So let me jump forward here to tracks 6 to 7. This was one of my problem legs. Whoops. 6 to 7. And jump to the end of it. There we go. This is the one where I had that little deviation here. And you can see that I actually was running along here, got to this trail, and then I knew I had to deviate left to go get this control, but I wasn't sure where to do it. And this was my mistake. I actually, if I remember correctly, I actually saw a little orange ribbon hanging out here, which I thought might have been the marker ribbon for the control, and I ran out there to look for it, but it wasn't there. And I should have known that, because you can see that the trail at this point bends to the left, and then it bends back to the right again, right around the time where you're supposed to jump off to get to the depression the control is in. And I had reached the point where it had bent to the left, but I hadn't gone far enough to where it had started bending back to the right again. So I should have skipped this entire diversion here based on the direction of the trail and moved on. And this is the kind of analysis you want to perform on each leg of your course. You just go leg by leg, you figure out what you did right, what you did wrong, and how to avoid those wrong things in the future. And the best thing to do is to do this as soon as possible after your course is complete. As soon as you come back and you press stop on the LiveLox app, if you have signal, it will upload it right then and there. It'll send your GPS track through the wireless up to the website, and you can look at it just moments thereafter. So if you bring like a Wi-Fi tablet or wireless tablet with you to the event, you can sit down with your hydration and your trail mix bars right after you get back and look at this in theory. If we don't have good signal, you might have to wait till you get home, but it's a good idea to do it as soon as possible after the meet. Our goal ultimately is to have this available immediately, so you could sit down not only by yourself but with your friends who did the same course, and you can go through the tracks and compare them and see how each person did it and how you might have used alternative tactics. So it's a great tool for this kind of analysis.